Hey guys, what's up? It's Kayla from Evolving Spiritually, and today I will be doing a video on building and maintaining a healthy friendship. During this time, we are experiencing a full moon, and full moons are all about releasing and letting go of things, of people that are really not fitting into where you're headed in your life. For me personally, this is something that I've consciously been working on for the last, 4 to 6 months of my life, and I want to share what I've come across with you guys. So we're just going to dive straight into it. When we look into the definition of friendship, it gives a very simple meaning. It says the state of being friends. Okay, so obviously we have to take it a step further and then define what the word friend means. According to the dictionary, it says it is a person whom one knows and with whom one has a bond of mutual affection. This is typically exclusive of sexual or family relations. So, once we define friend, right, then we kind of got to go into what is an associate, right? Because I think a lot of people misplace where people fit in their lives. And this is all about breaking down and defining so that you don't find yourself in a draining connection or friendship or an unbalanced one. You kind of have to know where people fit in your life. So an associate for me is going to be someone who's cool people, like you know them or you know of them. You may know of them through social media or through a friend or relative, but you're not really close with this person. You're not sitting here running to them and being open and vulnerable in those times of need. So it's just kind of like a, hey, what's up, kind of cool basis. And I think in this day and age, it's kind of hard for maybe the younger generation to separate the two, but hopefully this will give you more insight into what a real healthy friendship should look like. What does a good friend mean to you? I asked this question over on my Instagram and I got a few responses that I did want to share. But first, I'm going to go into the research that I found myself. So, first thing is first. It says being a good friend is being someone who is loyal and accepting of people as they are. It's someone who is being there for you during good and bad times. A person who is being honest and upfront even when it may be uncomfortable. And a person who is able to be counted on. Okay? So those things I would pretty much say on a general basis are going to be what you are looking for in the core of a friendship. Okay? So that's gonna have the mutual balance. That's how two people should show up for each other in a healthy, friendship. Now we're breaking down good traits of a friend. So I'm gonna help you guys see this all different kinds of ways because everyone may not have ill intent. Everyone may not be malicious or being ugly per se. They may not even be aware of their actions until it's communicated. So we're going to get into that in just a little bit. But the signs of a healthy friendship, we're going to start off with number 1. Okay, so it says you feel safe sharing things with this person. And I definitely feel like that is something that is truly important to have in a friendship. If you are not in this place of feeling open or vulnerable with a person, then really what role does that friendship play in your life? If you feel like you cannot be completely safe when it comes to sharing, things that are close to your heart with this person, it kind of makes you want to step back a moment and see again where people fit in your life. It doesn't mean that they don't have to fit in your life or exist at all. It's just kind of reorganizing things for yourself, right? So number 2 is going to be you aren't mocked or ridiculed. Number 3 is your boundaries are respected. Your friend is not in competition with you. Okay, that's a big one. You can be your true authentic self with them. Your secrets are safe with them. You mutually support each other. You can agree to disagree. You enjoy spending time with each other. and you're able to grow together. So again, I mean, it's very generalized, but again, I think if we are all looking from a true place, it's having that understanding. So you do have to be mindful of friends who are in competition with you, because that's going to be a sign or a trait of a toxic or potentially toxic friendship moving forward. Okay. So going into the traits of a toxic or unhealthy friend would be a friendship that is competitive. Okay. Again, really stressing the fact that you should not be dealing with people on a daily basis or in a close way to where you can feel and you know that this person is like competing against you. Okay, a lot of us are not aware that we are in competition with probably the closest people around us, because if you're anything like me, we're just living life, we're doing us, and we're making it through however we can, right? But a lot of people envy that, because it takes a lot to be true, it takes a lot to be authentic, it takes a lot to really show up as yourself and kind of be like, I don't care how anybody feels about it, right? Even though for us that may be a struggle at times, you got to think of how we kind of make it look easy, right? So you don't want to be connected to someone who is always in competition with you, always in comparison, always trying to make it seem as if like they have to have the upper hand. It's very draining. Okay. Now we have one-sidedness. We can really put that more so into the next one of, focusing always on them. That's kind of the same thing to me, or I guess just being mindful of like one-sidedness within a friendship, because you don't want someone who is constantly running to you, venting to you, and like laying all this heaviness on you, and you don't have that same space for them. They don't hold that same space or capacity for you to be able to reciprocate in the way that you need, right? And that's not good, because that means you're consistently, taking someone's heaviness and someone's burdens, and someone, even if it's like venting, you're taking on that weight, and it then kind of disturbs your peace, or maybe what you have going on in that moment. It could even change your whole mood depending on how close you allow yourself to get to it. So it's, again, being in a balanced friendship where you can hold space for each other in the way that you need. And I will say that lately I've been realizing for myself that I need to like ask my friends, like, hey, are you in a place where you can, like hear me out on what I'm going through? Because I don't want to ever purposely just put myself out there and they're in a hard place themselves, because I'm usually on the receiving end. I'm usually trying to figure out my own life, and other people are like coming to me and like wanting advice or wanting me to help them figure this out or that, and it's just kind of like I'm trying to get myself together. So if it's like that, that's kind of a different scenario, because some people do need their own space to process their own things without being able to be available and show up for someone else. And so it's just being mindful of one-sidedness, because there are people who are just about them and coming in and connecting when they need something for them, but not being available when you need them. So you just, again, have to be very mindful of that. So again, going back into the traits, you have critical comments, right? Your best friend or your friend should not be putting you down, should not be the person that, is judgmental or opinionated towards you, should not be the person that is triggering any insecurities with you. It's looking at how you feel after conversations, how you feel after interacting with this friend. Like, are you drained? Do you have headaches? Are you, do you feel full? Are you peaceful? Like, you have to look at how your body, how your emotions, how your intuition reacts to things, okay? You got to be mindful of friends who are possessive. You have to be mindful of friends that lead you into a place of feeling self-doubt, right? You have to be mindful of those who disrespect your boundaries. And I think with friends, we have a hard time setting those boundaries because we don't want to cause any conflict. We don't want to ruffle any feathers. And, you don't want to, step on anyone's toes that you're that close with. So I feel like setting boundaries in a friendship is challenging, and that's where I have felt in the past. Like, instead of me speaking up for myself and setting a boundary when I felt like someone overstepped it, I would just go. So don't worry, I'm gonna get into my own juiciness of sucking as a friend, and also share in a time and experience, that's what I was trying to say, of when I feel like a friend failed me. So last thing is just being mindful of gossipy friends. If a person is always coming back to you and telling you everyone else's business, you got to be mindful of how they run in their mouth in these streets about you. And thank God my mom warned me about that going into college, because I was a cheerleader and I was around a lot of phony people, a lot of phony females. And the main thing I learned is if these group of girls are sitting around in front of me talking about everyone and their mom, I know that when I'm not around, they're definitely, saying what they need to say. So you have to, again, be mindful of the kind of person you're connecting with. Do they reflect the values and the things that you stand for? And again, if they don't, it doesn't mean that you have to cross that person out of your life. It's just knowing where to place them. Okay, so with that being broken down, I took a poll on YouTube and under the community tab. If you guys, want to be interactive, I will be doing more polls on a weekly basis to pretty much prepare for the videos that will be coming out. So I took a poll and I asked, do you believe in being just friends with the opposite sex? 85% of you guys said yes, and 15% said no. So I know that this is a very controversial topic, and many people look at it in many different ways. So I'm going to add my 2 cents. I believe that it is possible for two people of the opposite sex to be just friends. But I believe that it has to be clear set boundaries somewhere in between. I had a friend, and this kind of goes into my personal examples of when I've been let down by a friend. So my friend, I've known him, I'm going to call him Delano, known him since high school. But it wasn't until college that life got real and we started to confide in each other. We would connect on real life shit. It would just be, us basically at that time trauma bonding, going back and forth on our hardships or our disappointments or the things that were bothering us. He was there for me when I was going through my divorce. He was there for me when my family turned their back on me during the time I was protecting my child from sexual abuse. We kind of had this conversation that solidified we see each other as family. He was family. We were just we're each other's family. His father passed a few years ago, and his mother's at a distance, so all we really had was each other. I don't really allow myself to get close to people. That's why I'm not afraid to admit that I know I've failed as a friend for a lot of people in the past, because I didn't value friendships. And it wasn't until that moment with Delano that I was pretty much all right, well, friendship means more to me now, because I see who was really there for me when I needed it. And oddly enough, it didn't take that long for that to completely come crumbling down. He ended up dating, or he didn't meet her, I guess they reconnected, and he started dating this girl. Soon, a month after, started dating Janae, who is now my wife. And that girlfriend at the point is now his wife as well. So I just want to make that clear from the jump. When I started to date a female, it caused a lot of confusion within a lot of people in my life, family and friends. And I think he tried to ride the wave of like supporting me as long as he could, but it wasn't really until I met the girlfriend at the time. We all met together, like me, Janae, him, and her. And I was excited because I've never really had met any of his girlfriends before. And I felt like, okay, we're grown, you know, like we can double date, or we can, like, it's a grown maturity here to where like it's not high school where you have to be like, ugh, like I don't believe. So I was like on my grown mentality with it. I was excited to meet her. I was happy because he was happy. And it was just like, you know, we were finally getting what we deserved and what we have been like talking about all those years before. And little did I know that me being excited to meet her was not what it was on her receiving end. So that really sparked a lot of insecurity with her. I'm not sure if it was because we bonded. So after us meeting that time, it just kind of got very nasty. Like the energy around the friendship just got very like ugly and judgmental. So after the meetup, basically I kept getting like calls, like normal calls from him. And within the conversations, he would question me on like my relationship with Janae and tell me that they were like in marriage counseling, pre-marriage counseling or whatever. And like they would be talking more about me or me and Janae in their counseling sessions than them. Like that's what kind of confused me. So he would come back and he'd be like, yeah, well, the pastor said that his daughter was gay, and you know, they prayed about it, and then she ended up marrying a man. So it's kind of like, we're gonna pray the gay away kind of thing. And then the next call would be like, man, like there was this gay person in church today, and like it was like, how, like why, like how are gay people still in church? And I'm like, what do you think that like we find the same sex and just be like, oh, forget God, like fuck it, like it just, okay, so you can't be gay and love God. So it was just like one thing after another and after another. And within like him telling me those things about their marriage sessions and the things that she would comment on about me, I think my final straw was when he like came to me and would tell me like, hey, like I can't come to your wedding. Let me mind you, like no one had got any invitation of any sort of wedding. There wasn't any sort of wedding date planned. We weren't even engaged at this point. But he felt the need to tell me like, I can't, you know, I couldn't partake in your wedding because, you know, so-and-so said it would be like me supporting sin. And it's kind of like, and obviously I'm still a little shaken up about it because it's like a disbelief. But that pretty much ended our friendship because I just cannot continue to hold a bond or a friendship with someone who belittles me, who doesn't really see the true me. Like we've been friends for over a decade, and you know who I am at the heart, you know that I'm probably the closest person you've ever known that's like so connected to God. And the thing with, you know, the wife is her past. You know, everybody has a past, but when you run from your past and you like go hide in church and religion, and then you try to like chastise everyone else and like you're a sinner and you're doing this wrong, and like she even said one time like I'm living in sin and that's why like my parents don't deal with me. And for him to come back and say it, obviously, you know, I don't think he meant any harm by it, but little did he know I was already building my perception of who she was. So at the end of the day, I was frustrated because I was being looked at or perceived in a very ugly way, like a very nasty way for you to be so Christian and holy. Like it's so hypocritical. Because I could definitely say some things on their end that wasn't so holy, but that's not my place to judge, you know? I really thought that she was cool. I thought that her and I were alike in a lot of ways and that we could have really gotten along and clicked. And that's just where I'm dumbfounded at, because it's just like, what the hell happened? The only thing that makes sense to me is insecurities, you know, whatever her insecurities is, it rubbed off or reflected on me. And it's just like, I don't know, when you make sense of it, if we wanted to do something, if we ever would have crossed the line, we would have done it by now, you know? So I believe that yes, you can be just friends with the opposite sex. Maybe there could have been a liking there somewhere, but once you get over that hump, it's definitely possible. Because like I said, I've known him since junior year. I've went to dances with him, and you know, like, we've definitely had opportunities to be together or cross the line, but it never happened. So it's just, you got to make sure that shit is clear, because I think if lines have been crossed and people have gone like extra steps within it, then no, because you're able to kind of fall back into that temptation. But on the other end of it, on the shitty end of me being a friend, I have completely shitted on a friend before and regretted it. And luckily, this friend actually took me back. But for this video specifically, I asked her if she could define what a good friend means to her, and also tell a time when I was a bad friend. My voice is going, that's why I'm sounding like this. But I kind of want to give you guys a background. So this is my best friend Lola, and I've known Lola since freshman year of college. I met her through my first relationship, my first boyfriend. They were actually like really close and best friends before I met him. And so we actually got close through him. And I kind of took her as mine, and we became super close. But there was a lot of fucked upness that happened within our friendship, and a lot of it had to do with me not knowing how to communicate and handle situations properly. I will also say that I was under the influence of ugliness from like how my own mother views women in friendships. So I was getting my perception, or I was seeing things from like a not healthy perspective. So Lola has always been there for me. Like, I consider her my road dog. Like, we can go through whatever, we can talk about whatever, and she rides that wave with me. But where I messed up is I've ghosted her a lot. Probably like 2 or 3 times, probably 3. And I'm not laughing because I'm not proud of it. I'm really like still trying to not beat myself up over it, because she's forgiven me, and she, you know, consistently lets me know that we're in a whole different space now. But I will say there was a time that I ghosted her, and I won't go into detail, but I ghosted her, and we had a conversation. I told her that next time I would communicate what the issue was. Fast forward years later, I did it again. But at this point, I was at a transition in my life to where I had just stepped into spirituality. I just started reading tarot cards, and a lot of the people that I grew up with and I was connected to were very religious. Like, I grew up in the church, so they weren't having it. So in order for me to turn this new leaf in life, I created new social media accounts. And whoever followed me or found me, like, they were on for the ride, and who didn't. And Lola just kind of fell into like the people who didn't follow me in that phase of my life. And literally, I couldn't even recall like why I just like stopped talking to her. But this is kind of where the story picks up. So my wife actually said something to me about like my past relationships, and she's like, Kayla, like, people in your past relationships probably ghosted you because you ghost your friends. And I was just like, oh my god, like, fuck, like, shit, she's right. Like, I just really had to take that in for a moment, because I'm trying to connect, like, why did these people in the past do me how they did me, and left me there to wonder what the hell did I do wrong. And so immediately when she said that, Lola popped in my head, and I'm like, dang, I hadn't even been thinking about people, because my life has been so on the go, right? I've been through a lot in these last 4 years. So I just been like going, whoever's with me, you with me. If you're not, I'm not looking back. And that's not always healthy either. But Lola popped in my head when my wife said this, and it made me reach out to her. And luckily, she was open enough to hear me out. And I'm grateful for that. And I will say, like, a lot of people do come back and apologize for their own ego, but I was really looking to, like, heal that connection, because she was someone that, when I thought about at the end of the day how real of a friend she was the realest, you know? So the qualities that she holds, the traits that she has as a person, I need that in my life in this day and age, because I've experienced a lot of fake and phony, okay? And so her realness and her truth still stood out to me. And when we connected, she let me know, like, you know, like, you hurt me, I really didn't understand. And that really meant a lot to me, because I didn't know to what extent she was hurt, because again, I didn't value friendships like that, so I didn't think that you could actually be that hurt from it. But luckily she did. She understood, and she stood her ground in knowing that she, at the end of the day, is a good person, and she didn't do anything wrong, even though that led to her having trust issues and things like that. So I do want to, again, say I apologize to anyone that I have wronged or have been a shitty friend to. I am now in a conscious place of working on being a better friend. And that kind of goes into what to do if you are dealing with a bad friend, or you do have a bad friend. My advice and what I would personally want is someone to communicate to me what the issue is and give me a chance, so that I can at least decide for myself if that's something I want to try to make effort in changing or compromising for this person. Because when I do think about past relationships, I've had men go ghost on me, and still to this day, I don't know, like, what the reason is. And that would be what I want to know. What I would want to know at the end of the day is like what was it, right? And Lola, that's what she wanted to know at the end of the day, like, what was it that I did wrong? And my response was like, I don't even know. Like, I pretty much dismantled her trust in friendships and people for a reason that I can't even remember. You know, like, I hurt someone and ruined someone in that moment, and it took like a hit at their self-worth, you know? Like, I never intentionally want to do that to a person. And when you realize that, you know, like, you are not being as good of a person, that's when you have the ability to make a choice, like, if you want to change for the better or if you want to stay who you are. And then again, you decide where you feel like that person fits in your life. You know, if they decide to not change, then you have to make a conscious decision, like, does this person continue moving forward with you? Do you stay at a distance? Do you love them from a distance? Do you connect every once in a while? But it's important to communicate with people that you're having issues with, and at least give them that fair chance and opportunity to, you know, defend themselves or change it so that they can make things better. Because Lola valued me. She valued our friendship. And if I would have just told her whatever the issue was, because like I said, I ghosted her before, and that came down to me just feeling like I didn't know who to trust. Like, I had trust issues. And because she was best friends with my ex, I didn't really know, like, who I could trust during that time. So obviously it was connected to much more. But what I'm trying to say is, if I would have just communicated that with her during that time, things could have been different. There are connections that you may not be able to salvage and get back. But again, you get to decide, like, how that affects you moving forward. If you say your piece, if you know, change yourself and really make it a habit to be better, like, that's all you can do, and let the past be the past. Okay, so that was my examples on things, but I kind of want to go over the polls from Instagram with you guys and see what you said on these questions. So when it comes down to what does a good friend mean to you, we have someone answered and said they show up to celebrate wins or witnesses disappointments, right? A person who's there for everything, like, be with me during my high moments and be with me at my lowest. I can tell you I haven't had that many people ride that wave with me. I've had people, be there, of course, when like I was popping and things was good and gravy, but when I literally hit rock bottom, those same people turned into non-believers, So we have, that someone who wants the best for them and to care for them. Being able to hold space for someone, to establish a healthy friendship with support, understanding, and listening. To listen with understanding, not reacting, not always anyway. I will say, because I personally know her, I don't know. I wonder if I'm reactive to you. And that makes me wonder, like, do you have certain friends for certain things in your life? Like, I'm always going to be that friend that's going to be honest and blunt and try to be as fair as I can. Like, I'm never going to be one-sided or just take, one side of things. I'm going to try to see the perspective from both sides. So I think that it's all within, like, how you receive things from people as well. I think love languages are extremely important within friendships. The next answer says, being a good friend means telling the other person the truth even if it hurts. That's extremely true. I think Lola had a very hard time like telling me about myself, but I'm grateful that she did, and I'm glad that she's still being very honest and truthful in this moment. To want success for each other in more ways than one. Again, that kind of goes into the competitiveness. A lot of people, you have to be mindful, may not necessarily, want more for you. And you won't see that until you start gaining more in your life for yourself. So the next poll was, do you believe that you are a good friend? So 86% of you guys said yes, and 14% said no. And again, for me personally, I answered this and I said that I'd be lying through my teeth if I said I'm a good friend. I could do better, always known that, but I didn't care to. My loyalty mindset was only to family and my lover at the time. I always felt friends come and go, and I didn't see the value until shit got real and I saw how much value is in a friendship. Until I realized a friend would ride harder for me than family. Until I had only two hold me down through everything or every phase in life. Until I realized some of these people valued me as if I were a lover or a friend to them. I didn't understand it for a long time, but I'm now consciously working on being a better friend. And that took a lot for me to admit, because I didn't realize that people did value friendships in the way that they did. And it sucks that I've kind of looked at friendships as something disposable. And that's why I personally do want to apologize to any person that I've been friends with, that I've hurt, that I've ghosted, that I've not clearly communicated or have misunderstood without giving a chance. I'm sorry. And I would also want to make it clear that if we have gotten to this point in life and we still have not communicated or have not reached out, we're good. Okay, we're better off at a distance, at growing in our own way. But if I loved you, I'm gonna always love you, and I'm gonna always want the best for you. But if we don't align, we would be doing more harm than good to each other. Okay, and see, I'm maturing, because old Kayla would have just been like, it's still like, fuck y'all. But it's not. It's really not. Like, I really do wish the best for everyone that I've experienced or had a connection with or friendship with in the past. It's just like, don't come messing up what I got moving forward. So that was pretty much it, so the last thing I want to touch on is, like, I've been seeing this whole legacy friends versus evolutionary friends, right? So when we look at the word legacy friend, the definition of that is someone you've known for a long time but might not evolve with you. They know where you come from. I think that this is like super important, because the fact that I have gone through such a drastic change within my friendships, I haven't really been open to meeting new people, but I have met a few new people along the ride in the last couple of years through my tarot videos and my sessions that I do consider friends. But it's good to have, I have two staple friends, Sandy and Lola, who hold me down, who have known me from like my roots and will take me back to that shit if need be, you know? Like, it's good to have your solid friends that won't let you get lost. And I will say with Sandy and Lola, it's amazing to have friends that have known me for 10 plus years and seeing that I've changed as a person and gone through so many different phases in my life and still see me for who I am. Like, that's what I value the most within a friendship. Like, you just being down and knowing that I'm still me at the end of the day. Not letting, somebody alter your view on that. But then we go into evolutionary friends, right? Newer friends who might not be as dependable, but they help you push forward in your evolution. So these are going to be the people that, help you network or connect or support you or, really build you up, but may not be people that you just go to, again, like find that comfort or find that groundedness within yourself. So looking at all these different places and categories of where people can fit, it kind of helps you organize your life a little bit, because if you are dealing with friends or have friendships where people don't respect boundaries, that becomes very draining, very just not healthy after a while. Let's engage in the comment section, guys. Tell me what your thoughts are on friends and friendships. Anything you want to add to this discussion, go ahead and put it down below. Also, be sure to check out the subscription tab, okay? Hit that bell notification so that you guys don't miss any of my premieres. I will be premiering videos every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you watch the premiere at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will be able to chat live on the side of it and discuss as we watch together, okay? So join me live and let's chat it up. I cannot wait to see you guys in the next video. I hope you have a beautiful day and have learned a little bit of something. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye.